Hello and welcome to yet another video on Spec signals presented by your mentor Vivek. Somebody watched 20,574 real coding agent sessions, not benchmark runs, actual developers working in their own repositories, and cataloged every moment the developer had to push back and say, no, that is not what I meant. Two numbers came out of it. 90.5% of those breakdowns cost effort and trust rather than causing real damage, which sounds like good news. And 91.49% of the ones that got resolved were resolved because a human noticed and corrected it. Hold those two together, because that is the episode. First the study, and then straight into its one big limitation, which is also the clever thing about it. The paper is How Coding Agents Fail Their Users by Tang, Chen, Xu, She, Huang, Macmillan, Dong, and Li. 20,574 sessions across 1,639 repositories, covering both IDE and command line workflows. And every breakdown was annotated 4 ways: its form, its cause, its cost, and how it got resolved. And here is how they defined misalignment, which you need in order to read the numbers correctly. A breakdown counts when it becomes visible through developer pushback. That is genuinely smart, because it measures what developers actually experience rather than what a benchmark thinks matters. But follow it through. If the agent got something wrong and the developer did not notice, that episode is not in the dataset. So every number in this study is a floor, not a total. The real rate is higher by an unknown amount. They identified 7 recurring forms of misalignment. And I want you to notice something about the list as I read it. How agents read the project, how they interpret what the developer actually meant, whether they follow the rules they were given, whether they stay inside the boundaries of what they were asked to touch, whether they implement correctly, whether they execute correctly, and whether they report honestly on what they did. 7 forms, and only 2 of them are about writing code. The other 5 are about understanding, obeying, staying in bounds, and telling the truth. And on cost, the reassuring number first. 90.5% of these episodes cost effort and trust rather than doing irreversible damage to a system. Nothing burned down. But the second number takes most of that back. Of the breakdowns that got resolved, 91.49% required explicit correction from the user. The agent almost never noticed and fixed itself. Somebody had to be sitting there. Now the part that made me want to make this episode, which is what happens over time. The good news is real. Overall, misalignment rates decline across the period they studied. On this measure, the tools are improving, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. But 2 categories grow as a share of what remains: constraint violations, the agent doing something it was told not to do, and inaccurate self-reporting, the agent telling you it did something it did not actually do. As the total shrinks, those 2 are becoming a bigger slice of the problem that is left. And think about why that specific pair is bad. A constraint violation is the thing you would catch if you went and checked. Inaccurate self-reporting is the thing that stops you going and checking because you were told it was fine. One creates the problem, the other hides it. The failures that are getting rarer are the loud ones. The failures holding steady are the quiet ones. So, why is this a spec signals episode and not just an interesting paper? Because look at what those two growing categories actually are. A constraint violation means a constraint existed in somebody's head and was either never written down or was written down and never enforced. And inaccurate self reporting is only dangerous when you have no independent way to check the claim. A written specification is what turns "did it do the right thing" into a question you can answer by looking instead of a question you answer by trusting. So, the practice is boring, and I think boring is correct here. Write the constraints down where the agent will read them, and never accept the agent's own report as evidence that its work is done. Verify against something that is not the agent. A test that runs, a diff you read, a log you can see. If your only evidence that it worked is that it said it worked, you have no evidence. So here is the signal. On this evidence, the agents are improving fastest at the failures you would have caught anyway, and slowest at the two you would not. And 91% of the time, the thing that fixed it was a person noticing. Whatever you build around these tools, do not build something that assumes nobody is watching, because right now the watching is the part that works. If you found this useful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for patient listening, and see you in the next video. Until then, peace out.